Trump administration celebrated a victory yesterday. Tulsi Gabbard was sworn in as the new director of national intelligence. Lawmakers nominated her with a 52 to 48 vote, mostly along party lines. Senator Mitch McConnell was the only Republican to vote against her confirmation. Here are some remarks from Gabbard and Trump yesterday.
Unfortunately, the American people have very little trust in the intelligence community, largely because they've seen the weaponization and politicization of an entity that is supposed to be purely focused on ensuring our national security.
Throughout her service, Tulsi has always distinguished herself as a leader of the highest caliber. She's earned the respect and admiration and love of Americans on both sides of the aisle as her profound commitment to the values that keep us free, and she really does have those values as much as anybody. In recent years, Tulsi has been a courageous and often lonely voice speaking out against radical left's attacks on free speech and the dangers of an unelected deep state.
Leading up to her confirmation, Gabbard faced criticism from both sides of the aisle. Some lawmakers were concerned about her past opposition to Section 702 of FISA, which expanded surveillance authority and intelligence gathering from overseas. Gabbard's apparent sympathy for whistleblower Edward Snowden was also a contentious issue.
Her meeting with former Syrian dictator Bashar Assad was also a hot topic for some lawmakers, as was her skepticism as to whether Assad had used chemical weapons. Now, there are those who accuse Gabbard of repeating Russian propaganda about the war in Ukraine. Speaking of which, here is former UN Ambassador John Bolton on CNN last night. Let's watch.
Well, I think Putin couldn't be happier. I tell you, they're drinking vodka straight out of the bottle in the Kremlin tonight. It was a great day for Moscow. I think Tulsi Gabbard's role as Director of National Intelligence is going to be extremely harmful to our national security. I think many allies are now going to think twice before they share intelligence with us. I think it'll impair our ability to gain confidence around the world. It was one of his worst nominations, beyond a doubt.
Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer wrote on Blue Sky, "On the night that Putin invaded Ukraine, what was Tulsi Gabbard doing? Spending her energy blaming NATO and the U.S. for what Putin did. Tulsi Gabbard is not qualified to lead America's intelligence community."
Former New Hampshire congressional nominee Lily Tang Williams, on the other hand, wrote next, "War is the last resort, not the first." Well said, Tulsi Gabbard. Shame on Democrats who voted no on the party line to confirm a former Democrat who's for peace. Dems have become a party of endless wars and corruption. Hashtag walk away. Even Bernie Sanders, whom Tulsi formerly supported very vehemently, did not vote to confirm her for this role. Look, I don't agree with everything Tulsi has said and done over the years. Actually, one of the concerns I have is it's like the opposite. They wanted her to be more for Section 702 FISA surveillance. They wanted her to denounce Edward Snowden. Like, I liked her initial stance of thinking warrantless surveillance of American people is bad. I liked her initial stance of Edward Snowden is a hero for revealing that your government was lying to you about all that. So I certainly hope she doesn't get captured by the deep state, but maybe she's just saying what she needs to say in order to get confirmed. Putin puppet, drinking vodka. The vodka sounds nice. I'll take a shot of that. Other than that, very irritating commentary to me.
Well, the fact that the fact that the American defense establishment, foreign policy establishment that gave us Iraq, that gave us Afghanistan, that gave us the far-right extremist government in Israel, the adherence to their policies no matter what. The fact that they don't like her, I don't care. The fact that she's a break from the past and what they call taking care of America's security interests, I don't have a problem with that. I'm still open on this, however, because, if you say that somebody's smashing an old establishment that needs to be smashed, that doesn't necessarily mean that what they're going to give us is anything better. Mm-hmm. So I agree with a couple of things that you said, but I'm a still wait and see with Tulsi does going forward.
Well, I think,
we don't know. That's sort of the issue with a lot of these.
Wait and see is a good attitude for government appointees or political appointees in general. We'll see what they do, and if they do things I don't agree with, I'll criticize them. But
because you and I don't have to make the vote.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I would have certainly voted to confirm her, especially versus other people that Trump could have picked in that role. That more establishment, somebody who meets Mitch McConnell's approval is going to be someone who is probably going to be an advocate for a more militaristic or strained relationship with Russia or in other countries around the globe. And I just don't think that's the right way to do diplomacy.
Well, when it comes to the defense establishment, the foreign policy establishment in general, they're posing like the adults in the room when, as I said, they have given us these horrible foreign wars.
And they get everything wrong.
That's right.
Over and over again.
So the American people have a right to say, we think we're going to try a different direction now. However, then the question becomes, what is that different direction? Certainly with Trump, most things I don't agree with that different direction, and with Tulsi, we'll see.
What do you think about the loss of faith that Americans have suffered in their intelligence agencies and law enforcement overall? Because there's both a left and a libertarian critique of these systems that's existed for years and years and years, and now more and more people are embracing it. And I think that's a good thing. Now, I think, automatically being opposed to every institution, no matter what, can also create paranoia and unhealthiness. But
Thank you, Robby.
a certain amount of skepticism and criticism and independent thinking and a tendency to go, okay, well, why are you telling me this and what's your agenda here is so helpful. And I think the American people have broadly woken up to that when it comes to some of these agencies and institutions.
I think healthy skepticism about government in general is a requirement for good citizenship.
Yes.
I don't care what your politics are. Nobody should just slavishly assume that you're doing the right thing, which is the argument I'm telling you about Musk and about Trump. I don't care who the president is. I don't care what party. We shouldn't just say, well, if you say so, it must be true. I think it's tragic that the American people have lost the level of faith that we have lost in the American foreign policy establishment. And once again, look how many millions of people have died because of it.
Yes.
We're not just talking about American deaths, we're talking about Iraqis and so forth.
Horrible. Destabilized the entire Middle East. And for what? Did it make us safer? Of course not. And we lost our people. It's not even like, well, we just made them pay this horrible price. Ha, 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 we're better off. We're not better off. They're not better off, and we're not better off. So it's time for some different thinking.
There is some time for different thinking, but then you look at something like the president's plan for Gaza.
Yeah.
That, to me, is not enlightened common
That's a bad
sense
plan. Well,
new thinking.
we're all against that plan.
Good.
I'm so against it, and I think it's so obviously dumb that I don't actually think they're going to do it. But I think
But
it's a
he
recycled
will
Jared
try to
Kushner
do it,
idea.
won't he?
I don't know. Nobody wants it. Even Lindsey Graham doesn't want to do it, and Lindsey Graham
Even-
wants to.
Lindsey Graham standing up to Donald Trump?
He said, "I don't." Well, let's not go that far.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know about this one. Maybe we gotta,
It's a
let's
terrible
put
idea.
this back in the ideas drawer.
It's a
for
terrible
rainy
idea.
day.
A man who is so big on saying nobody can mess with what Americans want has no problem saying that we can mess with what the people of Gaza want.
Yeah.
So,
we should not do that.
yeah,
No more conquest.
yeah.
Coming up on Rising, we'll be discussing unemployment fraud. The question is, can anything be done about it? Stay tuned.